I'd like to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of our masters and our predecessors and our transmitting masters and lecturers that I have this opportunity to be able to conduct the course on, the presentation on what's called the 4 courses of subjects of Tao cultivation. Okay, so basically this lecture has been done by many lecturers also and speakers. And of course, the one I found was the one that's basically very, very detailed, so to speak, by lecturer Tai. And so therefore, yeah, basically I'm just, what I did is highlight it in yellow. I highlighted in yellow what is the most important thing, so to speak. And so therefore, you can still read the whole presentation by Lecture Tai. But based on that, I think that in order to um, uh, do it in sort of like 15 minutes time or so, I need to sort of like, I don't know, just highlight the things that I want to talk about. Okay, so anyway, to start off, um, uh, uh, the basically there's a saying in this by one of the saints. It goes, the most important aspect of a cultivator is having a moral character. Then we must nurture virtues, perform merits, and establish an is aspirational goal. When we have sufficient forbearance, our nature or our true nature shines brightly. Vigorously learn while we scrupulously abide by the rules of decorum to follow the examples of sages and saints. Saints and sages. Okay, so basically, he just saying, basically the same was just saying the fact that yeah, there are certain subjects that we need to learn about the Tao. Okay, and the most important thing about this is what we call the moral character. Okay, and well, let's see, because when I looked in the dictionary, it goes, yeah, moral character. The word on number one is the Chinese, and basically it's translated exactly as moral character. But I would just call it not only moral character, but just a character itself. Okay, all right. So the 4 courses of cultivation or subjects are like 4 legs of a table, okay, or the foundations of a building, just like we say the 4 corners of the foundations of a building. Okay, so we do not have a solid foundation built on our 4 courses, then we cannot be successful in cultivation. So yes, after all, these 4 foundations or these 4 uh, major points of this cultivation is to allow us to be able to be successful in eventually becoming enlightened. Okay, and so therefore the purpose of foundation is to bring out or manifest the Tao that's within us. One of the great 10 great vows is not to conceal the Tao, which is to manifest the Tao within us. That's the eternal aspect. And of course, spread the Tao to others, which is the external aspect. So we have to be inspired to cultivate, then transform, then inspire hearts into action. There's a saying that there are cultivators as numerous as the hairs on a steer. That when the cultivators, but the cultivators that succeed or become in line are as few as the horn steers. The steer's horn, excuse me. So it just means the fact that yeah, many people had try uh, to cultivate, just as the steers on a horn, the hairs on a steer. But of course, those that really are successful can be counted as the steer's horns, which is a couple or so. Okay, well, all right. Okay, so anyway, the first thing I'll talk about of the 4 courses is the moral character. Okay, so because there are so many stuff that Lecture Tai mentioned, so therefore I just want to look at the highlighted versions. So therefore, number one, we have to put in endless effort to cultivate and build up our moral character. It takes time to cultivate a very virtuous character, but the more virtues that we have, the more respect that we have. So therefore, it is important that because after all, as one of the Holy Shija mentioned to me when I was in the in one of these talent classes or the temple master classes, he mentioned to me about the fact that, hey, the most important thing you need to look at is the character of a person. Well, he only mentioned character. Okay, he didn't really say moral character, but the Chinese the same things. 品格 is really moral character. Okay, so therefore he's trying to imply the fact that it is the most outstanding thing that you need to be careful about in terms of promoting people to become a lecturer or speaker, etc. Okay, all right. Then, of course, we must have healthy thoughts to sustain a healthy body. With a healthy body, we can build a healthy character, which is true. Okay, so basically, it just talks about the fact that, yeah, we have a physical body that we have. So therefore, yeah, through healthy thoughts and actions, okay, then we can build up a healthy character. Okay, continue. We must be merciful and compassionate. Humanity is the characteristic of being human. Yeah, because after all, in when when we talk about being human, is for what being humane, right? Humane. So therefore, humanity is the characteristic of being human, and so therefore, the part of being human is the fact that we are compassionate and merciful to those that are around us. Because after all, we know the fact that we are Buddhists, but also everyone else is also what? A Buddha. Okay, so we must get rid of our bad temper and correct our bad habits, because after all, those are the things that we have accumulated through our various cycles in life, so to speak, or through our karmic past. All right, and so therefore, these are things that we really didn't have within our Buddha nature or true nature. So therefore, those are things that we had accumulated, and through these accumulations, it becomes what we have now as a human. Okay, in this physical body. So therefore, we need to hopefully get rid of it or relinquish it. So this way, it does not get obstructed through through our actions and thoughts, so that we can bring or manifest our true nature or our Buddha nature. Okay. Then, of course, he talks about being very mindful. Okay, so after all, when let's see, I saw a documentary about Buddhism. Basically, he had met one of the monk or abbot had the monk had mentioned to that to the person who was doing the interview, saying that the most important thing is mindfulness. Mindfulness, yeah. So basically, if you are really truly mindful in everyday life, every moment of your life, then you can really begin to exercise your true self, or to be exercise the the cultivation of your true self, of the Tao. Sorry. Okay. And then, of course, we must cultivate, understand, practice ourselves in order to understand the truth. Yeah, because after all, when we first learn about the Tao, okay, we see the Tao. Okay, we see the Tao for some reason. Okay, and then what? Does it mean the fact that, oh, you know the three stages, so therefore you can go to heaven? Not really. Okay, because after all, you first have to learn about what does it mean to know about the Tao. Okay, that's the most important thing. So you have to learn about it. And so therefore, what we call the truth, same thing. Okay, and so therefore, it's important that you be able to take the time and effort to be able to learn as much as you can about the Tao, so that you can practice the Tao and basically be eventually, hopefully, be awakened by the Tao. All right. And then, of course, he talks about the fact that there's what's called a divine wisdom. He references what's called the sixth consciousness. Okay, well, I'll talk to the consciousness probably at the end of the presentation, before the conclusion of the presentation. So this way you have a more of a better idea of what it is. Because after all, this is the consciousness that's represented, that's presented by Lecture Liu in one of his Buddha nature topics. And he's talking about the nine excuse me, the nine consciousness that we have. Okay, and basically, I'll try to reference it a little bit to explain a little bit about it, so that you have a better idea what it is. Okay, all right, and then of course, he talked about we must be trustworthy. Of course, we deal with other people, so therefore we must have a sincere heart in order to be trustworthy. Because after all, if you're dealing by yourself, okay, that's fine. That's you can be by yourself. But the problem is that we are part of society, or so to speak, part of humanity. Okay, so therefore, it's important that when you deal with others, that you be trustworthy. Okay, okay. We are all in this. Yeah, we are all in this together. Encourage each other. Accept other suggestions. True friends could give us will give us good advice, even if it is substance. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because after all, when we are part of humanity or society, basically, we will make friends, and so therefore, when true friends, I'll condition that with true friends. Basically, they're the ones that will tell us how it is, so to speak, about ourselves. Okay, so therefore, when they give us advice, it depends on how you yourself take it. So it's important that when we take it advice from our true friends, then of course, even though if it's something that's bad, so to speak, okay, or upsetting to us, then of course we should also accept it, because after all, it is advice that's true to the heart or their heart when they present it. Okay, all right. Okay, then of course we must know our strengths and weaknesses. Yeah, that's very important too, because after all, eventually we'll talk it talks about or something about our confidence level. Okay, because after all, when we know, well, we you're talking about our own weaknesses and and strengths. So therefore, like when you're in an interview, what's the thing that the interviewer will mention? Oh, what do you think is your strength and your weaknesses? Okay, so therefore, yeah, but that's related to the job, so to speak. Okay, so now we're really talking about our own ideas of our own strengths and weaknesses. So therefore, some of them it may be more very inflated. It's possible, okay, or it may not be. So the point is the fact that we have to know ourselves. That's very important, because after all, it then relates to what we talk about in terms of our confidence. Okay, all right. Then of course we have to learn to admit our mistakes. The more we admit, the fewer mistakes we will have. We will have, only because of the fact that when you are able to know the mistakes that you admit, that you admit, okay, then of course it lets you to introspect about yourselves, to find out really, am I in the wrong or right, etc. And so therefore, when you begin to reflect upon yourself, that's the introspection that we have. Then becomes easier for us to be able to eventually become a habit to be able to correct our own mistakes. Okay, all right. And then of course, we must have self-confidence. Okay, that's the confidence that I was talking about earlier. So therefore, you need to have this confidence in yourself to be able to do what you want to do. Because after all, confidence is really related to, like let's say for example, you do something and basically you may be confident in yourself that you can accomplish that, but it's possible that you may not know how to do that task. So therefore, the confidence in yourself is the fact that you are able to understand that, okay, even though I'm confident that I can do it, and even though I don't know how to do it, then therefore it gives you the confidence to find out how you can do that task. All right. Okay, then of course we must be practical. Okay, yeah, uh, besides confidence, we need to be practical. in our cultivation. Okay, because after all, it relates to what we do in our Tao cultivation. Okay, and of course that's related to the five fifth consciousness. Fifth consciousness. So again, I'll talk about that later near the end of the presentation. Okay, and means the fact that you have to be practical in terms of what you have to do. And basically it refers to what we call the middle way or the middle path, so to speak, not to be go to extremes and all that stuff. So therefore it's impossible, in terms of cultivation, it's best that you sort of like try to steer within the middle path so that you don't go into extremes of what you practice. Okay. All right. Okay, then of course we now go to attachments and correcting our mistakes. Okay, yeah. Um, as I mentioned earlier, we have many lifetimes that we have been in this world that we had accumulated a lot of stuff. Okay, a lot of baggage, so to speak. And so therefore, what they are called what's called attachments. Okay, because after all, our Buddha nature doesn't have any of this. But the fact that we are in this state right now, in this present state, in this present life, okay, that's basically the accumulation of all the things that, all the baggage that we had left or gathered, so to speak, in those past lives. And so therefore, uh, ideally, we should just relinquish it, okay? And also, whatever mistakes or corrects or improper things that we had done in the past, hopefully in this present life, in this present time, we are able to, I guess, rectify it, so to speak. Okay. And then, of course, we must repent with sincerity. Okay. And that's talk about the fact that, even in the Christian Bible, it talks about the fact that repentance means the fact that you don't repeat the offense again. That's very important. Because after all, even though we're sincere, but when we repent, okay, and we repent sincerely, but we still what sometimes make the same mistake again, or more than once, so to speak. All right. So therefore, ideally, when you are mindful of that aspect or introspect yourself of that aspect, then this way you will not do the same or make the same mistake again, so to speak. All right. Okay. Then, of course, carrying on, we have to maintain discipline and caution. Being too relaxed eventually leads to dereliction and slackness. Okay. Because after all, it depends on the environment that we find ourselves in. Okay. Because after all, when the environment is very lax or easy, so to speak, then we begin to sometimes lose sight of what we want to do, okay, or what we want to think about, okay. So therefore, maintaining the discipline, okay, and the caution is basically saying the fact that just as I think it's in the Doctrine of Me, maybe, or the Great Learning. It talks about the fact that when a person's trying to do cultivation, it's very important that they do it step by step, and also it's like saying walking along a precipice, so that they're very careful about what they do, okay, and how what they think, etc. Because after all, it's very he calls it like very dangerous. Okay, all right. Okay. And then, of course, we must exterminate these invisible things. These are the defilements of our heart and mind. Okay, so basically it talks about the baggage that we had collected, so to speak. Okay, what is the three poisons, etc., bad behavior, bad thoughts. Okay, so therefore, in order to do that, we have to maintain our vigilance. Okay, and he talks about a knife that basically is like the wisdom that you use to cut off all the difficulties or to remove the difficulties, etc., so that we can transcend the cycle of life and death. All right, okay. So the important thing is the fact that you need this precepts and disciplines, concentration and wisdom to be able to dispel not only the three poisons, but any other aspects that any other attachments that we have. All right. Okay. With discipline, we must get rid of our bad temper and habits. With non-attached concentration, we will not be moved by anything else, which is like, the environment outside of us, whether it's trials and slanders, etc., or either things, etc. So therefore, we won't be moved by that. Okay, because that's the non-attached concentration. Okay, and then true wisdom comes about when we deal with things when necessary and let go of that fact. Okay, it means fact that true wisdom is is part of the non-attached concentration. So therefore, when you have when you deal with other aspects of life, so aspects in life, so to speak, then of course, and then once you deal with that, then you are you let go of that. And so therefore, don't keep it in your mind. And of course, that is associated with what we call the eighth consciousness. Okay, and again, I'll go to that near the end of the class. Okay, and then of course, we must be humble and modest to feel superior, to not feel superior and proud. Yeah, because after all, we all have what's called what? The ego, the four images. One of the images is what? Ego, the most important. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Okay, and so therefore, yeah, in the individual we have this ego, and basically, the ego is basically again uh, the accumulation of all the past lives that we have, and that is now presented in this present ego that we have. And so therefore, yeah, we need to be humble and modest because after all, the whole idea of being modest is the fact that hey, we are trying to cultivate to become better. And so therefore, being humble and modest is very important. Okay. Then, of course, we must manifest our genuine character. It is the character from our true heart that is unpretentious and very natural. So basically, yeah, the Buddha nature or the true nature doesn't have any attachments or anything like that. So therefore, we not in order to, I guess you could say, achieve the manifestation of our Buddha nature, so to speak, then of course we need to what? To manifest the genuine character or the true character or the Buddha nature. Okay, all right. Then of course we must be frugal and have a true heart. These are conditions to achieve virtues. We need good deeds to accumulate virtues. Okay, so basically, yeah, in terms of frugality, basically it just means the fact that we need to practice uh, not necessarily particularly being frugal, but rather practice something that's sort of like equivalent to like the middle path in terms of frugality. And so therefore, you know, uh, it comes down to your means, so to speak, based on your means. Okay, so that's very important. Okay, because after all, some people who want to go out and pioneer, etc., but maybe they do not have the means, or somebody want to help, establish a temple, whatever, and they may not have the means, etc. So therefore, it comes down to your true means to be able to balance that with what you need and also what you want. Okay. All right. Then, of course, we must also examine ourselves and give more consideration to others. Okay, that's just talking about the fact that yes, we live in a society with, know, uh, we are human, and so therefore, when we deal with ourselves and also others, then of course we need to be more considerate, and that's the humble aspect that we had mentioned earlier. Okay. And then, of course, we must learn to be a Buddha. Learning requires tenacity. All right. So that's really the important thing. Okay. To have tenacity really means to have sort of like endurance, so to speak. Okay. And so therefore, and also the let's see, according to this, cultivation and nurture, to have tenacity, which is the character ge, means to repent and reform ourselves inside and out. And of course, it has the Tao part, okay, and basically it just means the knife that will cut off our bad habits and tempers. Okay, as a general philosophy of life, if we can learn and practice tenacity well, then we can become successful in everything. Okay, and that's true. Okay. So we need tenacity. And of course, and then after that, we'll have talk about virtues and merits, forbearance, and eventually patience, so to speak. Okay. Okay. And then, of course, you know, fact that we have this many past lives, okay, we sort of accumulate all these things, and ideally, we can, get rid of these things immediately. I mean, not everybody can go cold turkey at once, so to speak. So therefore, it takes some time, and therefore, that's the reason why we have to be tenacious about what we do, and also have forbearance in terms of what we do, so that we can eventually succeed. Okay. And then, of course, having such a thought or motive is already a fault. And if we carry it into action, it's another fault. Okay. But he's already saying the fact that, yes, when even though if uh, you have a thought, okay, uh, as one Buddha had mentioned, the fact that when you have a thought, it can also have a karma, a result related with it, because of how based on what you think of the thought, and also what it will be, what you will do in terms of the action that will be the result of the thought. Okay, so it's very important. All right. So therefore, yeah, you should be mindful of that. All right. Okay. And then of course, it talks about the fact that once you have a thought, it's already, and then you come carry into action, then of course another fault. So therefore, it's two faults, or two, things that are not good. Okay. Then of course, we may not indulge ourselves. Indulgence only brings harm to ourselves, because after all, based on what I mentioned earlier about the environment itself, when the environment is very too comfortable for us, so to speak, yes, we sort of like begin to lose track ourselves, and that's when we indulge, or we relax and sort of like become at ease, and therefore we can forget what we want to do first. Okay, and that's of course the whole goal is to become enlightened. And so therefore, it's important that we don't indulge ourselves. Okay. Well, first of all, the fact that, indulgence can also bring harm to ourselves, and others. Okay. All right. Then the second course of, uh, I guess you could say, action or Tao cultivation is the virtues and merits. Yeah, virtues and merits. Okay, of course, true merits is when we sincerely benefit others without selfish motive. That's very important. The selfish motive part. Okay, because after all, let's give me a well. First of all, I need to talk about what the Shakespeare said. Okay, because after all, he mentioned the fact that the word 功德 broken down in two parts. Okay, because after all, we translate it as virtues and merits. Okay, so yes, technically, okay, so let's see. First part, the gong. Okay, the gong aspect, the first word. Basically, the six patriarchs that calls it, or considers it as the effort and time that you uh, 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 I guess you could say, um, get, so to speak, so that you can see the true nature, or your Buddha nature. Okay, basically that is the merit aspect. Okay, so therefore that's the effort that you make to be able to true yeah, see your Buddha or true nature. Okay, and then of course the second part of the word, or second part of the meaning, the aspect is the equanimity in virtue. Okay, it just means the fact that when you think about what's the first of the 15 precepts that we learned about in the I believe in the second year class. Okay, what's the first one? It's what? To respect the Buddhas and saints. Okay, so therefore, when you respect the Buddhas and saints, and the fact that we are also what? Buddhas and saints, okay, reborn, so to speak, in this world, so to speak, then of course you need to respect everyone as yourself. And so therefore, that's the virtue aspect of the equanimity. So therefore, you see everyone as yourself. So that's very important. See everyone as yourself. Okay. All right. And then, of course, merit is he also finalizes it a little bit by saying that merit is the essence and virtue is the function. And that's true. Okay. Because after all, once you have achieved the merit, okay, then it will manifest as virtue in terms of the application. Because after all, when you have this merit, everybody sees you and respects you about it. Then therefore, it gives you the virtuous character that you want to present for others. Okay. All right. Then, of course, Tao cultivation and practice is the indivisible field of our hearts and minds. True merit and virtue. Excuse me. True merit and virtue is the result of doing things from the true heart. Because after all, example is this is the fact that let's say you want to contribute to a temple. Okay. Now, you can write a monetary amount, check, blah, 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 and then, to the temple. Okay. Then, of course, you have merit, right? Okay. But technically, it's really not 100% of the merit. Only because of the fact that in your mind, you know that, hey, let's see, the government recognizes a religious organization. So therefore, writing a donation or presenting a donation, so to speak, to this organization has a benefit because after all, I can what? Reduce my taxes, so to speak, or the deductible, so to speak, in terms of filling out the tax form. So therefore, it's true. It's really not 100% of the merit that you presented, and so therefore, yeah, even though you in your mind you know about the government as functions of the donations, etc., etc. So therefore, it's not really the true heart. But of course, you also want to help in terms of the contributions, in terms of the temple being able to build itself up and also provide the services that it needs to be able to accommodate the sentient beings. Okay, so therefore, yeah, it's basically part of it. It's a part. Okay, but true merit is really coming from the Buddha heart or the true nature, Buddha nature. Okay, okay, all right, and then of course in terms of merits and in terms of virtues and merits, he's talking about faith is the origin of Tao and foundation of virtues. The origin of Tao means the true nature. Okay, basically, or true nature or the Buddha nature, same thing. Okay, because after all, you need to have faith in order to be able to do things. Because after all, in the class in the Dharma class, in the last topic, lecturer Kai had mentioned it very well about the awakening. So therefore, it talks about the faith, etc. So therefore, you need faith and vows, etc. Okay, and so therefore, faith is really the foundation of everything. Okay. And so therefore, it is really something that you need to have faith in. Okay. All right. And then, of course, he talks about, okay, other aspects. All right, fine. Okay, I'll just run it quickly. Okay, then, of course, cultivating wisdom without cultivating merit means results in no achievement. Cultivating merit without wisdom results in karmic blessings. Okay, that's the reincarnation aspect. Okay, it just means the fact that when you are cultivating wisdom by self, basically it's just because what's wisdom? It's about your mind, so to speak, or your experiences in life, etc. Okay, so therefore, cultivating wisdom means the fact that you're really thinking about a lot of stuff mentally, so to speak. But without cultivating merit itself, it doesn't achieve anything because after all, it's things that you only think about in your mind and you haven't done any action. So therefore, yes, without cultivating merit, then of course it's really not achieving anything. Okay, because after all, you may think that you know, but not everybody else will know about it. Okay, and then of course, cultivating merit without wisdom results in karmic blessings is only because of the fact that when you only talk, you're only I guess you could say pursuing merit, so to speak. Okay. And without the wisdom to associate it with it, then of course it's only what's called karmic blessing. Because after all, you only get blessings in your next life, so to speak, so to speak. Okay, so that's the reincarnation aspect. Okay, so therefore you need to have both, and you need to balance both within each other, the wisdom and the merit itself. Okay, okay, then of course it talks about, oh, okay, there's a lot. Okay, inner merit is the cultivation of the heart and mind. Do we understand our heart and mind? Do we know our body habits and temper? Okay, yeah, because after all, when you talk about the merit itself, okay, the inner merit itself, okay, that's the merit of your mind, so to speak. Then, of course, you're talking about your heart and mind. Because after all, does anybody really understand your own heart and mind? Not necessarily. Okay. We may have to go through some psychoanalysis to be able to do that. But the point is the fact that we basically know what we have in terms of behavior and temper. So therefore, we need to be able to uh, cultivate that aspect of our heart and mind. Okay. Because after all, you need to have heart and mind of calmness and composure so that when everything goes bad, so to speak, okay, then you will be able to work with that, and so therefore you hopefully will uh, 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 I guess accomplish or make things eventually smooth, so to speak. All right. Okay. Then of course, merits and virtues are in the heart of equality, in the heart of mercy, in the heart of compassion for sentient beings. So therefore, the idea is the fact that we have to deal with society itself or sentient beings, whether it's animals or humans, so to speak. And so therefore, we need those merits and virtues to be what? For sentient beings. Okay. All right. The true merit is when we offer ourselves time, help, etc., to sentient beings with the heart of a bodhisattva and to do what the community Tao community needs without having thoughts or what has more or less. Okay, all right. It just means the fact that yeah, uh, it comes from the heart. The whole idea of true merit is really comes from the Buddha nature or your true heart. Okay, so therefore it's important. He talks about the fact that it's like a bodhisattva or the Tao community. The idea is the fact that yeah, you need to have this whether it's for the it's like becoming a bodhisattva or a Tao community, you need to basically be concerned about these sentient beings. Okay. Sharing joy in others' success means everybody is good and happy, all united in a cheerful spirit. Okay, sharing joy. Okay, it's basically like equivalent to like saying, in the Dharma class, Holy Teacher mentioned about what? Just smiling. Smiling basically is something that can affect or influence others in terms of their mood, okay, and yourself. So therefore, sharing joy is equivalent to like that. Okay, so therefore, this way you are allowed to be able to share in with everyone, okay, about this happiness or whatever, and so therefore, it will allow I guess you could say the chi of the society, so to speak, or others to be able to be more harmonious. Okay, and then of course, when we have thoughts, it can be either merits or faults, heaven or hell. So we have to be careful about our thoughts, okay? Because after all, there's a saying in one of when I think it was the goddess of the Southern Sea had mentioned the fact that uh, when we think about thoughts or whatever, it's important that we know about the no, we should be careful. Sorry, we should be careful of our thought because after all, um, uh, uh, eventually you will have consequences. Because after all, in terms of humans, basically we worry about consequences, but not the beginnings of things that became the consequences, so to speak. So therefore, it's important that as even as Buddhists and saints, they have to be careful about our thoughts. So just as we in this human society or human world has to be able to also be careful about our own thoughts. Okay, when we do things with complaints, then we will not obtain any merits and virtues. Okay, because after all, when the fact that you have complaints, it means the fact that okay, you're not really inspired or joyous in terms of what you want to do. Okay, that's the reason why you have complaints. All right. So therefore, when you are really have complaints, then of course it means the fact that yeah, you can't really obtain any merits of the things that you want to do and virtues. Because after all, as one of the lectures, lecture Liu had mentioned in the Buddha nature class, the fact that even though you don't want to do it, but you compel yourself to do it because after all it is what you need. Basically it reflects the fact that you need to know what you need to do or what is the right thing to do, so to speak. Okay, one way, that's another way of putting it. So therefore this way you are able to volunteer yourself, so to speak, to be able to do what needs to be done, if whether anybody or nobody else wants to do. Okay, so that's very important. Okay, then of course, even the minutest of our actions, demeanor, words, and smile can accumulate virtues. Yeah, so they basically it's the same. It's the same thing as the smile aspect that I mentioned earlier. So therefore, whatever we do, whether it's actions, demeanor, words, or even a smile, okay, it can be beneficial to other or dissentient beings. And so therefore, we sort of like must practice those actions, demeanor, words, and smile, so that we can basically become more virtuous within ourselves. Okay. All right. Then, of course, humanity is the foundation of Tao cultivation. After all, um, it is only with us being humans that can we what cultivate the Tao for the cultivation of the Tao. Because after all, if I mean, you look at an animal that's a sentient being that's not a human, okay, a dog, whatever. Well, can you can you pack or can you train it to to become to know about the Tao? It's very difficult because after all, you don't speak dog, okay? So therefore, you don't bark as a dog. So therefore, you won't be able to communicate with it. So the fact that humanity has the ability to read and write, to listen, etc., to human speech, etc. So therefore, it requires us to be able to know more about this Tao aspect. Okay, this Tao. Okay, the Tao cultivation. Okay. And then, of course, donating money does not necessarily have merits. Okay, after all, as I mentioned about the example about the donation of whether it's money or whatever. Okay, it comes really from the true heart. Okay, or the Buddha nature heart. Because that's all. Someone who donates with a selfish motive does not attain merits. In contrast, somebody who may not donate as much but has sincerity, okay, that touches heaven, will have merits. After all, it is the sincerity that counts. Okay, and the Buddha nature aspect. Okay, all right. Then of course, he talks about the fact that the more we give, the broader our heart will be. Because after all, um, Holy Shisha mentioned about the fact that the say good words and find the good in others. Okay, so and he talks about the fact that you need to recite these 5 times a day, etc. Okay, something like that. So therefore, it, it means the fact that once you are charitable, so to speak, okay, and of course you reflect on that. then the more you do, the more it becomes what? Habitual. Okay. And so therefore, it means the fact that the more you give, the broader our heart will become. So therefore, broader means the fact that not only the whether it's the donation aspect or not, but rather the fact that whether it's time or money or effort, etc. So therefore, this way you have a better understanding of others or life itself. Okay. All right. Then of course, no matter what you kind of giving we do or do not do, or how much we give, the best kind is to give with sincere heart and mind. And that's really important. The sincerity and the true heart, which is the equivalent to like the Buddha nature heart. Okay, all right. And then of course, it when we go to the temple, etc. It says if you donate, etc. Then you think about, oh, okay, yeah, there's the Buddha sitting there and whatever. So therefore, you need to give. Well, really, Buddha does not really want our money, okay, because after all, they are so to speak above this material aspect. So therefore, our donation is sharing of the Dharma to fulfill our vows. And fulfilling our vows really means the fact that, when one way, one lecture or transmitter had mentioned the fact that, yeah, we are all Buddhas reborn. Okay. So therefore, in the sense that when we have come into this world, okay, we are really trying to fulfill a vow that we have made in the past life, so to speak. Okay, so therefore, these donations or sharing or whatever the Dharma is really to what? To fulfill our vows, to try to accomplish what we had vowed before. Okay, so to speak. All right. Okay, and then of course it's all relative and done according to our ability. Yeah, and that's the idea of um, doing things within our means. That's an important aspect. Okay, that was the most common plain truth. Okay, the core of getting along with others is by speaking gently and resolving unsatisfactory settings and situations. So that's important because after all, we are because I mean, you know, we think that okay, eh, well, for us, for the newcomer, basically it means that, oh, the Tao is something special, but really the Tao is everywhere and it's also very plain and and very common. Okay, so therefore, when we deal with others, okay, with this Tao, okay, it is basically what? By speaking gently, resolving unsatisfactory settings and situations with others. So this way we can still achieve the virtue that we want to learn about. Okay. All right. Then, of course, the third topic is about forbearance. Okay. And I'm short of time, so therefore I need to go quickly. Okay. Basically, just talked about the fact that Confucius was, he was only, when he could say he established when he was only 30 years old, because after all, it took him 30 years in order for him to find out about like life and society, so to speak. And so therefore, that means the fact that he's accomplished. Okay. And then, of course, to try to understand more of why we must learn and cultivate the Tao cultivation means to rectify, rectify and make corrections to our mistakes. So basically, that's part of the forbearance aspect. Okay, the tolerance and patience to be able to do that. Because after all, it took some time for Confucius to become established. So therefore, we also need some time or patience or for to be able to learn about these things. Okay, the most important disciple, the fact that Confucius had was Yan Hui. He was a disciple that lived only for a very short period of time, but yet he was able to cultivate the Tao so that he became one of the most prized disciples of Confucius. And basically, he never vented an anger at anyone who was not to blame. And it's also worthy for us to learn the fact that we had never put the wrong thought in action and had not made the same mistake twice. So basically, it just means the fact that how much he practiced what Confucius had taught him. And so therefore, he was not able to, like I said, make the same mistake twice. So the fact that, in this everyday life of ours, yeah, sometimes we do that, but it's important that we repent and introspect about, from ourselves about it. Okay, cultivation requires forbearance. Okay, if we do, if we not do not have sufficient forbearance, then we must continue to work on it. Yeah, because after all, forbearance means the fact that, yeah, we can be it's basically like going for the long haul. As lecturer Liu had mentioned the fact that when he was presenting the Buddha nature class, he says, he went in it for the long haul because after all, it is something that, even the students of the Buddha nature class need to bear in terms of the knowing the fact that it is really a long haul or a long journey ahead. Okay, all right, okay. Do not be affected by the outside environments, no matter the influence is whether it's big or small. We can learn something when we are not rushed or impatient in daily life. If we can endure tribulations and confinement with perseverance, we can overcome any hardship. Yes, and that's true because after all, through this forbearance, we can, we have many influences, and whether it's ups or downs. And so, therefore, when we, like I said, in the Western terms, we hear about the fact that, you first need to think twice before you're doing anything. So basically the same thing. Okay. So you don't have to rush impatiently in this daily life because after all, sometimes when you rush things, you typically make more mistakes, okay, than you normally would. Okay. All right. And basically, teacher basically has the saying basically say, hope my desires are able to build good affinities with people because after all it is affinities that allow us to be able to relate with people and improve relationship with others. Good turn good into turn bad into good. When things are unfamiliar, be patient, endure the storms and turbulent oceans. Winds will cease and waves will calm down. Okay, remember this: endure and you will be successful and achieve what is destined to be yours. Because after all, one of the four Buddha, I think, uh, uh, Buddhism talks about is the fact that there's much about what's called impermanence. Okay, and so therefore, you know, there is really, and into the light in the tunnel eventually. Okay, so therefore, eventually you will be able to achieve, okay, well, what you want to achieve. Okay, but the problem is that you need to endure the storms and turbulent oceans. Okay, and the winds. Okay, all right. Okay, then examine ourselves carefully and inspect the cause of our shortcomings, whether we are in prosperity and adversity. Yeah, that's very important also. Because after all, you need to really introspect about what our shortcomings are. So therefore, that will then, because after all, it is the result of the mistakes that we have done, etc. And so therefore, you need to be careful whether, it's in prosperity or adversity, because after all, whether the environment is very comfy or not. All right. Okay. And then, of course, taste the bitterness of the bitter to be the best of the best. Okay. That's just an encouragement to supplying the fact that, hey, you need to really get go to the bottom in order to go to the top eventually. All right. Okay. All right. Fulfill the heavenly way in adversity. Face when we face unwished or tough situation, we need to remember that we are a practitioner of Tao. Yeah, because after all, we need to really maintain the forbearance about this Tao cultivation. So therefore, whether we have adversity or not, it's best to really be remember or bear that in mind. Okay. All right. However, if we make mistakes, we must be able to read people's expression so that we can act properly. Yeah, because after all, that's in terms of dealing with others. So therefore, it's sometimes we make a mistake. Yes, you need to find out how you can resolve it amicably and also to be able to do it satisfactorily. Okay, then when we can accept adversity peacefully, we have the superior quality of endurance. So yeah, it just means the fact that yeah, you need to be able to accept the adversity that comes in your life, and so therefore and be able to really accept it peacefully, so to speak. Okay, then this way you really has a mark of endurance. Okay, when what's the meaning of really being strong? Really, it means the fact that it means to be able to conquer our foes, and that's the what things in our mind. Whether it's the greed, anger, and ignorance, it could be all many others. Okay, and so therefore, it's important that you be meek and humble, because after all, it is it is the ability to be able to appreciate what the things that are not good, so to speak, and so to be able to learn about it and to overcome it. Okay, and then in Tao learning, be even-tempered, peaceful, and composed. This is practiced by cultivating our mind and our true nature. Okay, and basically that's really what's very important. In terms of learning the Tao, yes, don't just rationally make conclusions about it. Okay, so therefore it's possible that you may not, or you may miss the point, so to speak. So it's important that you be even-tempered, peaceful, and composed. Okay, and then of course the last propriety Tao cultivation is propriety and ethics. Okay, and I need to go that very. Okay, I'm
That's
already
it.
over. Sorry.
You're over
Okay.
time.
Okay. All right. Should I continue, or should I not? Should I not make it into a next class?
I think we should stop here.
Okay, all right, fine. Okay, all right. Then, of course, yeah. If I thank the Grace of Heaven and the virtual masters and predecessors that have this opportunity to present this class, and hopefully, if I make any mistakes, I can help the transmitters and lecturers correct my mistakes. Thank you very much.